The alien exploration vessel was far from any known trade routes, drifting in a part of space that few had ever seen. The stars stretched endlessly in every direction, cold and distant, their light dimmed by the blackness that surrounded the ship. The ship itself was a marvel of alien engineering, designed for long journeys through uncharted space, yet it now seemed fragile. Fragile as if the universe itself had conspired to test its limits. The crew had spent months traveling in relative peace, exploring new planets and observing distant suns, mapping areas that had never been recorded by any civilization. But despite their preparation and advanced technology, nothing could have prepared them for what was about to happen. The journey had started like any other. The crew followed the protocols of their civilization, careful to avoid known hazards and patrol routes, always maintaining constant communication with their home world. They celebrated small discoveries, noting new celestial formations, alien flora on distant planets, and strange signals picked up from faraway stars. They were explorers, scientists, and adventurers all at once, proud of their work, proud of their ability to traverse the dangerous unknown. Yet, the deeper they traveled, the more isolated they became. Communication delays grew longer, systems became harder to maintain, and a strange tension settled over the crew. They joked about it sometimes, trying to keep spirits high, but underneath, everyone felt it to sense that they were alone in a vast, uncaring universe. Then, disaster struck. Without warning, the ship was ambushed by an unknown force. At first it was subtle minor malfunctions in the engines, a few warning lights blinking around. The crew assumed it was a technical issue, a normal risk of long-distance space travel. But as seconds turned to minutes, it became horrifyingly clear that this was no ordinary malfunction. Weapon systems failed, shields flickered and went offline, and the sensors that normally scanned for danger became chaotic, unable to detect the source of the attack. The unknown assailants struck quickly and decisively. There was no message, no negotiation, no warning, just destruction aimed precisely at their ship. The crew was stunned. Most of them had trained for emergencies, practiced for combat scenarios, and studied the behavior of hostile forces in simulations, but nothing prepared them for an attack like this. Panic began to spread in subtle ways. Some whispered to themselves, trying to focus, while others ran through corridors, checking systems that refused to respond. The captain, calm on the outside but tense inside, barked orders with a voice that tried to mask fear. He knew that their survival depended not only on technology but on the ability to stay organized, to keep everyone working together. As the ship continued to take damage, hope began to slip away. Life support systems started to fail in isolated sections of the vessel, and alarms screamed in a terrifying, relentless chorus. Some crew members huddled near emergency pods, unsure if escape was even possible. Others rushed to repair systems they barely understood, praying that their efforts could stabilize the ship long enough for rescue to arrive. Every passing minute felt like an eternity, each second heavier than the last. It became clear to everyone that they were not facing a typical pirate raid or a routine space conflict. They were fighting for their very survival, and the universe seemed indifferent to their struggle in the midst of this chaos. The captain made a decision that weighed heavily on his mind. He knew that traditional communications were likely jammed or destroyed. Any routine message to their home planet would probably never make it through. He also knew that sending an SOS, the kind that broadcasted their exact location across the galaxy, was dangerous. Such signals were rarely used for good reason. Anyone listening, friend or foe, could track them immediately. It was essentially like waving a giant neon sign saying, "We are here, and we are vulnerable." Most crews avoided using it unless absolutely necessary, fearing retaliation or exposure. But now, with systems failing and their attackers closing in, the captain understood that it was their only hope. The decision to send the emergency distress signal was made quietly. There was no debate among the crew. Everyone trusted the captain, understood the gravity of the situation, and recognized that hesitation could mean death. The signal was weak, fragmented, and desperate. It carried the ship's identification, its coordinates, and a short plea for help. They sent it into the void, into a universe that was vast, indifferent, and full of dangers unknown. For most of the crew, it felt almost hopeless. They had learned in training that the likelihood of a distant civilization picking up such a signal, understanding it and responding quickly enough to save them was astronomically small. Still, they had no choice. As the SOS traveled through space, the crew worked tirelessly to maintain what remained of their ship. They patched engines that sputtered and coughed, rerouted power from damaged systems to life support, and did everything humanly or rather alienly possible to keep the vessel intact. Some worked in silence, focused entirely on their tasks, while others sat in corners, staring out at the stars, trying to imagine that someone, somewhere, might hear them. Every creak of the hull, every flicker of failing lights reminded them of their fragility, yet also of their courage. Fear and hope coexisted in strange, tense harmony. The captain moved among them, checking on crews in different sectors, giving quiet reassurances while internally wrestling with his own doubts. He had faced many challenges before, but nothing compared to this feeling of helplessness. He knew that if no one came, If the universe ignored their signal, the consequences would be catastrophic not just for the ship, but for the families and civilizations that depended on the crew's mission. Still, he also knew that their survival might depend entirely on luck, on chance, on the hope that someone somewhere would notice the faint, desperate plea sent across countless light years. Time stretched and twisted, minutes feeling like hours as the alien vessel continued its slow, agonizing struggle through space. Each small victory stabilizing a failing engine, repairing a broken shield emitter was celebrated quietly, a testament to the crew's resilience. They were battered, exhausted, and afraid, but they refused to give up. Deep down, each of them understood the strange truth of their situation. They had entered a part of the galaxy that was uncharted and hostile, yet they had the chance to survive if only someone answered their call. Meanwhile, the unknown attackers circled, testing the vessel, striking unpredictably, and ensuring that escape was almost impossible. Their presence was felt in every vibration of the hull, in every warning light that blinked red, in the constant hum of danger. The crew learned to move efficiently, to anticipate strikes, and to make the most of every second. They became a team in a way they had never imagined, united by fear, necessity, and the faint, glimmering hope that their SOS might be heard. And then, after what felt like endless hours of waiting, the crew noticed a change. Something in the readings shifted, a faint, almost imperceptible signal in response. It was not much, just a trace, barely detectable over the noise of space, but for the crew, it was enough. It was the first sign that their message might not be traveling into emptiness. Hope flickered like a fragile flame, small and delicate, but real. The captain looked around at his crew, seeing the tension and exhaustion etched into their faces, and realized that this moment, this small, almost impossible hope was what kept them alive, though they did not know it yet. The SOS had indeed traveled far, far beyond what anyone aboard could imagine. It had reached ears that were ready to respond, ears accustomed to danger, to crisis, to the kind of situations that most civilizations avoided. It had reached the Deathworlders, humans shaped by a harsh planet, a violent history, and an unrelenting will to survive. They would be the ones who answered, the ones who would change everything for this stranded, desperate crew. But at this moment, the aliens did not know that. All they knew was fear, hope, and the endless cold darkness of space pressing in from every direction. In the midst of it all, the captain remained vigilant. He double-checked every system he could, directed his crew to continue repairs, and prepared for the possibility that no help would come. He knew the odds were against them, yet he also understood that giving up was not an option. Every second they held on increased the chance that some force, some civilization, some unlikely hero might arrive. And so, with courage, desperation, and a stubborn refusal to die quietly, the alien crew continued their fight, sending their last SOS into the galaxy, not knowing that it would soon reach the most dangerous and capable allies imaginable. Across the vast stretches of space, far from the alien vessel sending its desperate SOS, humans were monitoring the galaxy with a level of vigilance unmatched by most civilizations. On Earth, a planet often called Deathworld by other species, humans had learned over countless generations that survival was never guaranteed. Life on their homeworld had been harsh from the beginning. Extreme weather, dangerous wildlife, unpredictable natural disasters, and conflicts between tribes and nations had forced humans to adapt, to fight, and to become clever and resourceful. This history had created a species that was resilient, determined, and extremely capable in times of crisis. The human monitoring stations in orbit and scattered across the galaxy were not simply for exploration or trade. They were designed to detect any sign of threat or need, no matter how small, and respond quickly. The SOS signal emitted by the alien ship, although weak and fragmented, was detected by one such station. The humans had sophisticated sensors and systems capable of picking up faint messages across unimaginable distances. Even signals buried in static or distorted by cosmic interference could be recognized, analyzed, and understood. When the alien distress signal arrived, the humans did not hesitate or question its authenticity. Their protocols were clear. Any credible SOS, no matter how far away, demanded action. The signal was examined, decoded, and quickly verified. It carried the coordinates of the alien ship, details of its current condition, and the information that its crew was in imminent danger. For most species, such a distant SOS would have been dismissed as improbable or too risky to respond to. But humans were not like most species. The humans who received the message immediately understood the gravity of the situation. They knew that any delay could cost lives. Within minutes, emergency protocols were activated. Fleet commanders began assembling ships. Engineers and medics prepared essential equipment, and specialized soldiers geared up for a mission that could stretch across hundreds of light. Everything moved with precision and speed, as if the mere act of hesitation could allow disaster to strike. This was not a bureaucratic operation filled with endless debate. It was decisive action driven by a culture forged in hardship. Every human involved had been trained for scenarios that most civilizations would call impossible. They knew that survival, for themselves and for others, often depended on immediate and aggressive response. The as humans were known among other alien civilizations to have developed a reputation that was both feared and respected. Their planet had forced them to be stronger, faster, smarter, and more adaptable than most species. Where others might falter under pressure, humans thrived. They had built fleets capable of traveling vast distances, with ships that were armored, well-armed, and equipped with technology designed for survival under extreme conditions. Their soldiers were trained to face not only conventional enemies but also environments and threats that no other race could endure. This combination of resilience, skill, and preparedness made them uniquely suited to respond to emergencies, like the one now unfolding. As the human fleet prepared for deployment, the crew of the alien vessel could not yet know that their signal had been received. They continued to struggle, fearing that no one would come, convinced that the vast distance and the hostile universe would prevent rescue. Meanwhile, the humans analyzed the situation in real time. They studied the signal for details about the attackers, assessed the alien vessel's condition, and began formulating a plan to reach the ship quickly and safely. Every decision was made with the goal of ensuring maximum efficiency and survival. Unlike most civilizations, humans did not simply respond. They calculated, strategized, and optimized every possible variable, knowing that lives depended on it. The fleet's preparation was impressive in both scale and precision. Massive warships were armed with defensive shields and offensive weapons. Smaller reconnaissance vessels were deployed to scout the path ahead, and support ships carried medical teams, repaired drones, and supplies. Soldiers ran through checklists, weapons systems were tested, and engineers monitored every system to ensure peak performance. Every member of the fleet understood that the mission was dangerous, but there was no hesitation. Human culture, shaped by survival on a harsh world, accepted danger as part of life. To them, risk was not something to be feared endlessly, it was something to be met with skill, courage, and determination. As the fleet prepared to jump into hyperspace, the command crew reviewed the SOS in detail. They knew little about the species sending the signal, yet that mattered little. Humans had long learned to prioritize action over uncertainty. Their goal was simple: reach the alien ship, neutralize any threats, and save the lives of those in immediate danger. The exact nature of the aliens, their homeworld, or even the attackers did not matter. Humans had been trained to operate in unknown and hostile environments, to confront situations where knowledge was incomplete, and to adapt quickly to whatever they encountered. This mindset, hard-earned over centuries of survival challenges, was what made them so dangerous to enemies and invaluable to those in need. Meanwhile, the alien crew continued their struggle. They could not know that far across the galaxy a fleet was assembling to rescue them. They worked tirelessly to repair their ship, rationed remaining energy, and monitored the attackers who had forced them into this desperate position. Every creak of the hull and every flicker of warning lights reminded them of the fragility of their situation. Yet, even in the midst of despair, a tiny spark of hope began to form. Though they could not yet name its source, they hoped, prayed even, that someone, somewhere, might notice their plight. Back with the humans, the fleet executed the hyperspace jump, accelerating toward the alien vessel with precision and speed that was almost impossible to track. Hyperspace travel was not without risks. Navigating at such speeds required flawless calculations, and a single error could spell disaster. Yet the human pilots executed the jump flawlessly, their years of training, experience, and instinct guiding them through the void. In moments they were moving faster than any alien race expected, closing the unimaginable distance between them and the stranded crew with incredible speed. The Deathworlders soldiers, prepared for any eventuality, reviewed their mission plans as they traveled. They anticipated ambushes, calculated escape routes, and prepared contingencies for every potential scenario. They knew that arriving too early could trigger an attack before they were ready, while arriving too late could mean failure. Every moment in transit was filled with careful planning, training, and focus. The human ability to prepare and adapt simultaneously was a testament to the hardships of their homeworld, where every day had once been a struggle for survival. That as the fleet approached the coordinates sent in the aliens aboard the damaged ship continued to brace for the worst. They could feel the enemy ships lingering, probing for weakness, testing the defenses of the fragile vessel. Panic, fear, and exhaustion were constant companions, yet the crew continued to operate their ship to the best of their ability. They did not know that a force trained to handle precisely these kinds of crises was on the way. They did not know that the humans approaching them were not just powerful, they were relentless, disciplined, and capable of adapting to any situation. The fleet, now almost in striking distance, began scanning for threats, using their advanced sensors to locate the attackers and assess the alien vessel's condition. Engineers and medics prepared for immediate boarding, while combat units reviewed their strategies for neutralizing any remaining enemies. Every system on every ship was coordinated with precision, ensuring that the moment they arrived, they could act decisively. Unlike most civilizations that might hesitate in the face of uncertainty, humans relied on their training, instincts, and the belief that failure was not an option. As the alien crew struggled to maintain hope, the humans prepared to enter real space, leaving hyperspace behind. The transition was smooth, almost seamless. Yet the reality of what awaited them became clear. The alien vessel was damaged, vulnerable, and surrounded by unknown attackers. Any misstep could jeopardize the rescue. Yet the human fleet did not falter. Their culture, experience, and rigorous preparation gave them the confidence to confront overwhelming odds without hesitation. In this way, the alien crew's SOS sent in desperation and uncertainty had found the only beings in the galaxy who could answer it with both speed and efficiency. For the humans, the mission was not about glory or recognition. It was about duty, survival, and the belief that no call for help should be ignored, no matter how distant or dangerous. Their history, forged on a planet where life demanded constant struggle, had taught them that opportunity to save lives must be seized immediately. Delay or doubt could mean death. This ethos, ingrained in every soldier, pilot, and commander, would guide them as they approached the alien vessel, ready to act decisively, protectively, and without hesitation. Unbeknownst to the alien crew, their situation was about to change dramatically. The human fleet, composed of warships, medics, engineers, and soldiers trained for survival under extreme conditions, was closing in at unimaginable speed. Within moments, the once distant hope they barely dared to imagine would become a tangible reality. The SOS, the last desperate message sent into the void, had indeed been heard. The Deathworlders were coming not as invaders, not as mercenaries, but as a force shaped by survival, ready to save lives in a galaxy that rarely offered mercy. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace faster than anyone could have expected. The void of space, which moments ago seemed empty and endless, suddenly became filled with massive warships, each one bristling with technology designed for both defense and offense. From the perspective of the alien crew aboard their damaged vessel, the sudden appearance of the fleet was almost unreal. The sensors that had been struggling to detect their attackers now picked up the enormous human ships, their shields glowing faintly in the dark of space, and their weapons systems humming with readiness. It was an overwhelming sight, one that immediately filled the alien crew with awe, fear, and an unfamiliar sense of hope. The attackers, who had been confident in their ability to finish off the alien vessel, were caught entirely off guard. They had expected an easy target, a ship that was weak, damaged, and desperate. Instead, they found themselves facing a fleet of beings they had never truly understood before. The human warships moved with precision, surrounding the alien ship strategically, cutting off all escape routes. The attackers had numbers, yes, but humans had discipline, coordination, and experience that far surpassed anything they had encountered. The opening moments of what would soon become a decisive confrontation were already turning against them. The alien crew watched in disbelief as the human fleet took control of the battlefield. Missiles that could have struck the alien vessel were intercepted before they could even get close. Energy weapons that could have disabled critical systems were neutralized by rapid human countermeasures. Each move the attackers made was anticipated, countered, and nullified with ruthless efficiency. It was almost as if the humans had studied every possible scenario, every possible maneuver, before even entering this sector of space. The aliens had heard tales of Deathworlder power, but seeing it in action was entirely different. It was immediate, overwhelming, and undeniable. Inside the alien ship, crew members who had spent hours in fear and tension now found their senses overwhelmed by a mix of relief and disbelief. They could not yet comprehend the scale or origin of the human fleet, only that help had arrived. The captain of the alien ship moved from station to station, checking on his crew, watching the humans work from afar, and trying to maintain focus even as his hope grew. Every system that had been damaged began to feel safer. Every crew member that had been injured now had a chance to survive. The humans had arrived, and with them, a power and competence that the alien crew had never witnessed before. The battle that followed was swift and decisive. The attackers, though numerous, were unprepared for the tactics employed by the humans. The human fleet did not waste time with drawn-out maneuvers or unnecessary negotiations. Their attacks were calculated, precise, and unrelenting. Targeting the aggressors' ships with unmatched accuracy, they disabled weapons systems, destroyed offensive vessels, and cut off retreat paths. Every action was deliberate, designed to protect the alien ship above all else. The attackers had underestimated the humans' ability to respond to danger, and it quickly became apparent that they were facing a species whose skills and strategy were honed by centuries of survival against impossible odds. The alien crew could only watch as their would-be attackers were neutralized one by one. They saw ships explode in bright flashes of light, shields collapse, and enemy vessels being disabled without any harm to their own ship. Fear, which had gripped them for so long, slowly transformed into awe. They had expected death, or at best, the faint hope of rescue. Instead, they were witnessing a demonstration of power, discipline, and control that surpassed anything they could have imagined. The humans were not just fighters, they were survivalists, strategists, and protectors all at once. On the human warships, the soldiers moved with calm precision. Their training, experience, and instinct guided them through every decision. Some units focused on targeting and eliminating threats directly, while others ensured the alien vessel remained unharmed. Medics and engineers prepared to move in as soon as the battle ended, their roles clear and vital. The coordination of the fleet was a marvel of organization. Even in the chaos of combat, every human seemed to know exactly what to do, where to be, and how to protect both their fleet and the alien crew. This was the essence of human preparation and culture, the ability to act decisively in moments of extreme danger without hesitation. The attackers tried to adapt, changing their tactics, attempting to regroup, and launching desperate counterattacks. Yet every attempt was met with superior human strategy. The humans anticipated movements before they happened, striking in patterns that left little room for counteraction. To the aliens observing from their damaged vessel, it almost seemed as though the humans could predict the future, a skill born from countless experiences in which quick thinking and adaptability meant life or death. The attackers' confidence, which had been so high just moments before, crumbled as they realized they were outmatched in every sense. Despite the overwhelming force, the humans did not act recklessly. They avoided unnecessary destruction, taking care to protect the alien vessel at all costs. Their weapons targeted only the attackers, ensuring that no collateral damage befell those they were meant to save. It was a combination of aggression and careful calculation that amazed the alien crew. For the first time, the crew felt a sense of security, a realization that the humans were not merely powerful, they were reliable, disciplined, and entirely focused on their mission of rescue. The human commander, overseeing the operation from the lead ship, coordinated the fleet with remarkable clarity. Every move was monitored, every threat assessed in real. Orders were given and executed instantly, ensuring that the alien vessel remained shielded from harm. The attackers, who had hoped to overwhelm and intimidate the aliens, found themselves facing not just brute force but intelligence and strategy at its highest level. For the alien crew, watching the humans operate was like witnessing a well-choreographed dance, one where every step was intentional and every move had a purpose. As the battle reached its conclusion, the remaining attackers were either destroyed, disabled, or forced to flee. The threat that had seemed insurmountable only moments ago was now eliminated, and the alien vessel was intact, largely unharmed, and finally free from immediate danger. The alien crew exhaled collectively, a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and amazement washing over them. They had survived against overwhelming odds, but more importantly, they had survived because of the humans, the Deathworlders, who had arrived precisely when they were needed most. In the aftermath of the battle, the alien crew began to process what had just happened. The humans, though powerful and capable of extreme force, had acted with restraint and purpose. They had come to protect, not to conquer. They had arrived as saviors, using their strength, experience, and intelligence to ensure that the alien crew survived. It was a level of competence and compassion that the alien crew had never witnessed from any other species. This realization changed the way they viewed humans forever. What they had once feared became something entirely different: an ally, a protector, a force to be trusted. For the humans, the battle was routine, almost expected. They had trained for situations like this countless times, both in simulations and in real-world operations on their homeworld. To them, it was not about heroism or glory, it was about duty and survival. They understood that when a call for help reached them, hesitation could mean death. Their focus was on completing the mission efficiently, protecting lives, and returning safely. The alien crew, who had once doubted that anyone could respond to their SOS, now understood the full extent of human capability. Even as the last of the attackers were neutralized, the humans did not relax. Sensors continued to scan the area for any remaining threats, and teams prepared to board the alien ship to provide medical aid, repairs, and reassurances. The alien crew, still shaken by the events, watched with a mixture of awe and gratitude. They had been saved, not only by brute force but by the precision, strategy, and discipline of beings shaped by a harsh and unforgiving world. In that moment, the aliens realized that their perception of danger and strength had changed forever. Humans were not merely powerful, they were unmatched in their ability to respond, adapt, and protect. As the alien crew began to regain their composure, they started to interact with the humans cautiously, still trying to understand the beings who had appeared out of nowhere to save them. The humans were calm, professional, and reassuring, moving among the alien crew to assess damage, tend to injuries, and ensure that the ship was stable. For the aliens, this was a revelation. These were warriors capable of immense destruction, yet they chose restraint and care, acting with purpose and clarity. It was a combination of strength and compassion that would forever define their understanding of humanity. The battle, though brief, left a lasting impression. The alien crew had faced what seemed like inevitable death, only to be saved by a species they had scarcely known. The human fleet, disciplined and ruthless against threats, but careful with those they were protecting, had demonstrated a level of skill, preparation, and commitment that few could match. The alien crew understood that without the humans, they would not have survived. The Deathworlders had arrived not by chance, but by design, responding to a call for help with a combination of power, intelligence, and compassion that would be remembered for generations. Once the battle ended, A heavy silence fell over the void of space. The attackers had been defeated or scattered, and the alien vessel, though battered and damaged, floated safely among the human fleet. For the alien crew, the relief was immediate but difficult to process. They had expected destruction, perhaps even death, and yet they were still alive. Slowly, almost hesitantly, the humans began to board the alien ship. Medics, engineers, and soldiers moved carefully, assessing the vessel's condition while remaining alert to any possible threats. Every step of the operation was precise, deliberate, and professional, revealing the discipline and training that had allowed them to arrive at the alien crew side so quickly and effectively. Inside the alien vessel, the crew watched the humans move with a mixture of awe and disbelief. The ships had arrived so suddenly, so overwhelmingly, that the aliens had barely had time to comprehend the magnitude of what had happened. They were survivors who had already been pushed to their limits, and now, for the first time, they were confronted with a species that combined unmatched combat capability with thoughtful, careful action. The humans entered each area methodically, attending to structural damages, stabilizing life support systems, and ensuring that nothing would fail in the critical hours ahead. Even as the alien crew struggled to recover from exhaustion, the humans acted as if they had anticipated every possible need before even stepping aboard. Medics moved quickly to check the condition of every injured crew member. They were calm, professional, and reassuring, speaking in a language the aliens could understand, or at least interpreting gestures and tones that conveyed care and competence. Wounded crew members who had been unable to move or even sit upright were assisted gently but firmly. The humans had advanced technology for healing and stabilization, tools designed not only to repair injury but to give confidence to those in shock. Slowly, the alien crew began to feel a sense of security that they had not experienced since the attack began. Fear was replaced with trust, a cautious yet growing belief that they were finally safe. Engineers followed behind the medics, repairing the most critical systems that had failed during the attack. They patched breaches in the hull, rerouted power to essential modules, and restored communications that had been damaged or disrupted. Every action was efficient, almost elegant, carried out with a precision that left the alien crew silently impressed. The humans did not rush recklessly, but neither did they waste a single moment. They understood the delicate balance between urgency and care, moving quickly enough to prevent further complications while ensuring that no additional harm came to those they were saving. For the aliens, this was unlike anything they had ever experienced. Other species might have arrived after an emergency, perhaps to observe, negotiate, or claim spoils. But these humans were different. They were entirely focused on preservation, not conquest or gain. The alien crew began to realize that these beings came from a world where survival required extraordinary skill, foresight, and the ability to act decisively under pressure. Their culture, born from centuries of overcoming unimaginable challenges, had created a species uniquely suited for such rescue missions. It was both terrifying and comforting to witness the humans were fearsome in their capability, yet gentle and protective toward those in need. The captain of the alien vessel observed closely, walking among the human teams as they worked. He noted how each human moved with intent, how they communicated with one another seamlessly, and how they prioritized the needs of his crew above all else. In that moment he understood something profound, that humans did not consider this heroic because it was impressive. They considered it duty because that was how they were trained to respond to any SOS. This was not a one-off act of bravery. It was a standard for their species, a reflection of their values and experience. The alien captain, though initially skeptical of other civilizations, found himself admiring the humans in a way he had never imagined. The humans also focused on stabilizing the alien vessel's systems that had been most critical to survival. Life support modules were repaired and reinforced. Energy reserves were redirected to essential systems, and weapons and shields were recalibrated to ensure that the ship could protect itself until it reached safer space. Engineers worked in teams, communicating clearly and efficiently, often without verbal instructions, using gestures and eye contact to coordinate perfectly. The alien crew, who had once feared total collapse, could now see a future where their ship would survive long enough to return home. It was a new sensation, hope that felt tangible and real, not distant or uncertain. During this process, the humans also took time to communicate directly with the alien crew. They explained the sequence of events as best they could, reassured them about remaining threats, and offered guidance on maintaining stability until full repairs could be made. They did not lecture or belittle, nor did they impose commands unnecessarily. Their approach was measured, respectful, and professional. The alien crew, many of whom had been in shock since the attack began to regain confidence in their own ability to act. The humans' presence was not only practical but psychological. It reinforced the idea that survival was possible, and that they were not alone in the universe. Even with the immediate dangers neutralized, the humans remained vigilant. Scouts and security units monitored nearby space, ensuring that no hidden threats remained, while other teams focused entirely on repair and recovery. The alien crew, who had been exhausted from combat and fear, began to recognize a pattern in human behavior. They were methodical, disciplined, and utterly reliable. Where the aliens might have expected arbitrary behavior, hesitation, or even selfishness, they saw consistency, foresight, and purpose. Slowly, the alien crew's fear transformed into admiration and gratitude. They began to understand why other civilizations feared humans and why, in the right circumstances, humans could be relied upon without question. The process of stabilization took hours, but for the alien crew, each passing moment was a lesson in survival and efficiency. Humans moved through their vessel with calm determination, taking care of both mechanical and biological needs. They repaired critical hull breaches, recalibrated navigation systems, and restored power to all operational modules. The alien crew watched, slowly absorbing the knowledge that these beings, shaped by the relentless challenges of their homeworld, were capable of extraordinary precision, focus, and care. Even in the midst of chaos, humans maintained a sense of order and calm that was unmatched. That as the hours passed, the alien crew began to interact more directly with the humans. They asked questions, observed repairs, and sought guidance on the systems that had failed. The humans responded patiently, offering explanations that were understandable even across vast cultural differences. There was no condescension, no impatience, only steady support. For the aliens, this was almost unimaginable. They had encountered many civilizations before, some advanced, some powerful, but none had combined effectiveness, empathy, and calm decisiveness in the way these humans did. It left a lasting impression, one that would shape their perception of humanity for years to come. At the same time, medics continued to tend to injuries, working tirelessly to stabilize the wounded and prevent complications. They used advanced medical technology, but they also relied on observation, knowledge, and intuition, combining skill with experience. Injured crew members who had been in critical condition were slowly stabilized, their survival now assured by a combination of human knowledge and action. The alien crew, who had feared death or permanent injury, began to feel the first real sense of safety they had experienced in days. They began to believe that they might actually survive, thanks to the humans who had arrived without hesitation. The human commander oversaw every stage of the operation. He ensured that the alien crew's needs were prioritized, that every system was repaired to optimal function, and that all remaining threats in the area were monitored. His calm authority was mirrored by his officers, creating a sense of structure and security that extended throughout the alien vessel. The aliens, who had previously been trapped in fear and uncertainty, now felt a sense of stability they had never known. The humans were not just rescuers, they were guides, mentors, and protectors, ensuring that every aspect of survival was accounted for. As the repair and stabilization process neared completion, the alien crew began to regain their composure. They walked more freely through their vessel, checked their own systems, and began planning the next steps. The humans, having ensured that everything was secure, offered guidance and support, but they did not take control unnecessarily. Their approach respected the alien crew's autonomy while ensuring that no mistakes would jeopardize safety. It was a careful balance between authority and assistance, one that demonstrated the humans' understanding of both responsibility and respect. By the time the last hull breach was sealed, and all critical systems were operational, the alien crew had come to a profound realization. The humans who had arrived to save them were not motivated by personal gain, political advantage, or conquest. They were motivated by the principles that had shaped their species: duty, preparation, discipline, and the knowledge that survival often depends on immediate action in the face of extreme danger. The alien crew, who had once doubted that anyone would answer their desperate now understood the full scope of human capability and character. Even as the human teams prepared to depart, their presence left an indelible mark on the alien crew. The injured were stabilized, the vessel repaired, and the immediate threat removed, but the lesson went deeper than physical survival. The alien crew had witnessed courage, discipline, precision, and compassion, combined in a way that transcended expectation. They had survived because of humans, and in doing so, they had gained not only safety but also insight into the nature of a species that few had ever truly understood. Once the alien vessel had been stabilized and the immediate dangers had been neutralized, the humans began preparing for departure. The alien crew, though still exhausted, were now safe, alive, and beginning to feel something they had not experienced in a long time: hope. The sight of the human fleet remaining in orbit, shields glowing and engines humming softly, reassured them that their ordeal was over, or at least that they had survived its most dangerous moments. The crew slowly walked through their ship, checking systems, assessing damages, and realizing that without these humans, they would not have made it. It was a humbling moment, a moment of profound gratitude that was hard to put into words, yet unmistakably felt by everyone aboard. The humans, for their part, did not linger unnecessarily. They had completed their mission, ensuring that the alien crew was safe and the ship operational, and now their priority was to return home while remaining vigilant for any residual threats in the surrounding space. Despite the success of the rescue, their training demanded constant awareness. Even after eliminating the attackers, they understood that danger could emerge at any moment. Yet their movements were calm, professional, and precise. The alien crew watched closely, trying to understand the behavior of these beings who had saved them. The humans were formidable, yes, but there was a quiet dignity in how they operated, a balance of power and restraint that left a lasting impression as the humans prepared to leave. They communicated instructions to the alien crew on maintaining stability during the journey back to safer space. They explained minor adjustments to the ship's systems, the management of life support energy, and navigation practices to avoid potential hazards. These instructions were simple, clear, and actionable, showing that the humans not only prioritized immediate survival but also the continued safety of those they had saved. The alien crew followed the guidance carefully, realizing that every detail mattered, and that the humans' expertise extended far beyond combat into every aspect of survival and operational efficiency. The aliens also began asking questions, curious about the humans themselves. They inquired about the fleet, the training, and the origins of these warriors who had appeared out of nowhere to save them. The humans answered patiently, offering only as much detail as necessary, focusing on clarity and practicality. Their responses revealed a culture forged by survival, a species that valued preparation, resilience, and decisive action above all else. For the alien crew, these answers were illuminating. They had long viewed humans with fear and suspicion, hearing tales of their ruthlessness in war, their stubbornness, and their unpredictability. Now they saw that these qualities were paired with discipline, intelligence, and a strong sense of duty. The combination was terrifying to enemies, but life-saving to those in need. As the alien vessel began to move under its own restored power, the human fleet maintained formation nearby, ready to intervene if any lingering threats re-emerged. The aliens could see the ships in orbit, massive, imposing, yet controlled with precision. That humans did not interfere unnecessarily. They allowed the alien crew autonomy, guiding only when required, and observing continuously. It was an unusual balance for the aliens to comprehend. Most species they had encountered either dominated or ignored weaker civilizations, but humans did neither. Humans acted decisively when needed but respected autonomy and the agency of those they helped. The aliens began to understand that this approach was a reflection of the humans' experience, a species shaped by harsh environments and constant struggle, where cooperation and decisive action were the keys to survival. During the journey back to safer space, the alien crew reflected on the events that had unfolded. They had sent their SOS in desperation, never truly expecting it to be answered. Many of them had assumed that the vast distances and dangers of the galaxy would make rescue impossible. Yet, against all odds, humans had arrived, not only capable of defeating the attackers but also of preserving and repairing their vessel. The alien crew realized that their survival had been almost miraculous, a combination of their own persistence and the extraordinary skill of the human fleet. For the first time in days, they felt a sense of security that went beyond temporary relief. It was a profound recognition of the humans' capabilities and character. As the journey continued, the alien crew observed subtle interactions among the humans. Soldiers and medics worked seamlessly together. Engineers collaborated without hesitation, and commanders maintained a calm, authoritative presence. Every human seemed aware of their role, yet flexible enough to adapt to changing circumstances. The aliens began to appreciate not only the humans' technical and combat skills but also their social coordination and emotional intelligence. It was clear that the humans' efficiency was not only a result of training, but also of culture, a way of thinking, developed over generations of hardship and survival. In conversations between the alien captain and the human commander, the aliens learned more about the philosophy behind human action. That humans explained, simply and without arrogance, that their society had been shaped by necessity, a world filled with danger, where every failure could mean death. They had learned that hesitation, indecision, and lack of preparation were fatal, while discipline, planning, and quick action ensured survival. This perspective resonated with the alien captain. While their civilization had knowledge, technology, and intellect, they had not experienced the same relentless environmental pressures that forged humans into the disciplined and capable beings now guiding them to safety. Meanwhile, the alien crew also began to see the human sense of responsibility as something beyond duty. It was instinctive. Their rapid response to the SOS, the precise execution of the rescue, and the care shown to the injured and the ship itself all pointed to a deeply ingrained ethic. The humans did not hesitate because of reward or recognition. They acted because they had learned that lives must be preserved whenever possible. For the alien crew, this ethic was both inspiring and humbling. It demonstrated that humans, while fearsome in combat, were also capable of extraordinary empathy and foresight, a combination that few civilizations could master. The rescued crew slowly regained their strength and confidence as the journey continued. They began performing routine checks on their ship with guidance from the humans, learning to operate systems that had failed under stress and observing new ways to optimize their performance. This period of recovery and learning was essential. It transformed their near-death experience into a lesson in resilience. They realized that survival depended not only on luck, but also on the ability to work, adapt, and trust those capable of guiding them. The humans had become both protectors and teachers, imparting knowledge and reassurance simultaneously. As the alien vessel approached safer sectors of space, messages began to reach other nearby civilizations about the extraordinary rescue. News of the SOS and the response of the humans traveled quickly, creating waves of astonishment. Many civilizations had doubted that humans would respond to such distant and dangerous calls. Yet here was proof that they had not only arrived but had done so with unmatched precision and efficiency. The alien crew, reflecting on their ordeal, recognized that the SOS which they had feared would go unanswered had instead become a defining moment, both for their survival and for their perception of the galaxy's most dangerous yet dependable species. Upon nearing the edges of the danger zone, the humans provided final guidance to ensure a smooth continuation of the alien crew's journey. They remained vigilant until the alien vessel was fully operational and stable. Only when confident that no immediate danger remained did they begin to withdraw, moving back into orbit to maintain a safe distance while still ready to intervene if necessary. The aliens watched the fleet depart with mixed emotions: gratitude, relief, admiration, and awe. They had survived, and they had survived because of a species they now understood in a way that went far beyond reputation or rumor. As the humans finally left, the alien crew felt a profound sense of closure. They were alive, their vessel was repaired, and they had witnessed the capabilities, discipline, and values of a species that few could match. The SOS that had been their last desperate hope had not only brought rescue but had also reshaped their understanding of survival, trust, and interstellar cooperation. They now knew that when humanity acted, it was a force that combined intelligence, power, and compassion in a way few could rival. In the days following the rescue, the alien crew shared their experience with other civilizations. The story of the SOS and the human response spread rapidly, transforming the perception of humanity across the galaxy. Aliens who had once feared humans began to see them not merely as dangerous conquerors but as beings capable of extraordinary acts of protection and cooperation. The rescue had demonstrated that humans, forged by adversity and danger, could be relied upon when all hope seemed lost. The SOS that was never meant to be heard had instead created a legend, a story of survival, discipline, and extraordinary courage. Even after the humans had left and the alien crew continued their journey home, the lessons of that day remained. The aliens had seen firsthand the power, strategy, and ethics of a species shaped by extreme survival. They had learned that the most dangerous beings could also be the most dependable allies. Every system they checked, every repair they maintained, carried with it the memory of the humans who had saved them. And in that memory, the alien crew found not only gratitude but also a model for their own actions in the future, a benchmark of competence, discipline, and compassion that few species could match. In the end, the last SOS had achieved far more than anyone could have imagined. It had brought humans to a distant, desperate crusade, ensured survival against overwhelming odds, and reshaped the galaxy's understanding of an extraordinary species. The alien crew returned home, alive, wiser, and forever changed. The humans, the Deathworlders, did not linger for accolades or reward. They had done what they were trained to do: respond, protect, and survive. But in doing so, they had left a permanent mark on the universe, a reminder that even in the darkest reaches of space, when hope seems lost, there are beings capable of extraordinary action, guided by courage, skill, and unwavering dedication to life itself.